Since bursting onto the pro scene, Donk has only had 2 series that I can see where he was negative in every game, and this is one of them. This is the IEM Dallas semifinal, I believe, Spirit versus Vitality. And I don't want to do a Donk individual review. I'd rather take a look at what Vitality does and see if, if they're actually game planning around Donk, or if Donk maybe just had, a bad day. So to begin with, there's lots of different ways to play piston rounds. Really, I wouldn't focus too hard on analyzing them, but Shiro typically is the player you see with a P250 on Spirit if they go for this type of P250 play. And this is something that Vitality should be very aware of. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, this is something Vitality should be pretty comfortable with because that's a Vitality signature play. In fact, if you remember ZywOo's most famous clip of all time, I think, or one of them at least. He's got the closer op clip, but the P250 1v4, I believe it's against Ents? No, Liquid? No, Liquid? I think it's against Liquid. On this map is ZywOo going out alone A, right? And sometimes they'll go out alone A, get some contact, and they'll go mid. Sometimes they'll go A, and sometimes they'll go B. I'd say more often than not, you probably don't go A off of that because you're hoping to draw a bit of a rotate. One of the things it often does is draws a rotate from the window player, and then you can go out mid somewhat safe. In fact, one of my favorite strats to call in pugs is I smoke top con, like up here, and then I throw some flashes out, or I throw a flash out A and I peek out with a P250, and then I tell my team to run up cat. And it is actually incredibly effective because the window player always rotates off, and then they get the kill on the cat player trying to peek top mid and rotate off as well. It's actually insanely effective. But anyways, on the A site hold, ZywOo P250, he's got a scout. Oh, sorry, I thought the CTs won, and then I was like, oh, they must have planted. Their Ts are expecting a force. No, this is a force from the CTs. This is a really interesting angle, actually, from Flames. Oi, fuck. Hit the wrong button. So Flames is just playing Omega close to Palace. He's not... Wow, okay. So how does this one go? He just swings in. All right, that's clean. Tries to get out. The thing is, you can go into Palace there, but the problem with going into Palace there is then you end up trapped in Palace, and when you only have an MP9, if you're trapped in Palace, they're just going to be staring at you, basically, from Sandwich or Tetris a lot of the time. And when you're being stared at like that with an MP9, there is not a whole lot you're really going to be able to do. So trying to get out does make sense. I feel like he should just stay in there though, because if the site hold does go well, like, you probably really want to be alive. If the site hold does go well, and they're not in a setup where ZywOo can't just fall off. I guess the idea is he's worried maybe that there's multiple players in Palace and he just wants to grab that one and back away. But the site was already getting exec'd on. He probably gets away most of the time there, but yeah, the exec was already going on, right? So he's gonna die a decent amount of the time there. I don't know. I feel like pushing Palace. Well, given the knowledge we had, pushing Palace obviously would have worked. But I'm guessing he was mostly worried that there was a second player potentially in Palace, and then if he can, the thing is, if he gets out. If he actually does get out there, he is in a really amazing spot because they're going to have to be permanently worried about Palace until he makes contact from somewhere like default. So the upside to if he gets away there is crazy high, but the downside is also quite bad. So Spirit doing a little bit of mid pressure, and then they make their way back into mid. They got kind of stuffed at B. Looked like they might have been considering setting something up, but regardless, the delayed mid smoke. So you can do these types of delayed mid plays where sometimes you almost bait them into doing something aggressive in mid, and if they don't, then you smoke off window and they've already thrown a lot of their counter util because you smoke mid early once and then you just smoke it again late. And then you have Spinks, who would normally be, he can often be like doubled up on the B site in this situation, but because of that smoke, he has to worry about Cat, and I believe they probably smoke top con too. He has to worry about, you know, the short play, and that leaves Mezzy somewhat on his own. But Mezzy has an insane read on that initial spam through the smoke. I think he just has a read, and with okay, all right, that's clean. I think he just had a read, just spam someone through the smoke, and once he spams them through the smoke, it's very obvious that the entire rest of the team is there, right? So they can already start rotating. He can get himself into a really good spot, and they didn't have flashes, so they really needed that first contact to turn into a kill. And that's sometimes lots of teams play like this. Liquid played like this, I think in 2019. I remember a lot of plays from Liquid like this, but teams in general do play like this. It's not like a weird way to play. But sometimes you just have these setups, especially when you have pistols. You can have setups where you kind of do what they're doing here, which is the fake reload. Oh, that is clean. Okay, it's a little risky to fake reload when you're alone on B. Like you have not only alone, but completely alone. But Mezzy's obviously thinking there that Spirit are going for like a default where they're like Deagle heavy, looking for picks. So he's thinking there's one guy. That's a wild play to make completely alone. Maybe if he just waited, his team might have pivoted back into a second player B by the time that smoke was down. You'd hope, without even knowing where they were. But anyways, a lot of the time in rounds like Spirit had there, but you can do this late round sometimes too. It makes a lot of sense to put yourself in situations sometimes where you wait a smoke out, and then you're hoping that, especially B on Mirage is perfect for this. It's like you make it so we explode off first contact. I used to call them TNT plays. I remember the first time I ever had a play like this, it was B on Dusty. You walk out with the op, and then you explode on contact. And I remember this from 2007. We called it TNT B. I still call that shit TNT. 2007, maybe 2009? I don't know. Whatever. I'm fucking old, dog. Okay. But that's kind of the idea of that play on B, which is why dying is not an option, because they don't have the utility to actually take B unless they're catching someone that's a little bit off guard. Because part of it is you either get the kill, in which case you can explode really easily, or if you don't get the kill, you can still kind of chase that guy down. Wow. Okay, I want to see this play again. Wow, this must be an anti-strat, right? That just comes through under. There's the molly. And he just jumps down immediately and they pounce on mid. That can't just be a strat, right? Is that just a strat? This is something also you've probably noticed if you've been watching Pro CS. Lots of teams are just gambling off of A. And it makes a ton of sense because teams don't typically just walk into A very often. Usually you're going to need a little bit of utility on your A take, sorry. And if you're not on A, it's actually not that big of a deal because you're going to know when they go A. And especially because they just went hyper aggressive in middle, they cleared it out and Flames goes for the flank, which is it's ambitious, but he's so fast on it. He like knifes out immediately. You know, Spirit know that a flank could be possible, but that is such a wild timing for Flames to hit. They're expecting it probably in like 5 seconds. They might start being like seriously worried about it. Donk, you can see Donk did adjust and take a quick look back. But he was like, part of it is, to be fair, you know, he does take a quick look back here, right? Part of it is, to be fair, like in situations like this, a lot of the time I find that normal players are a little bit too worried. So the thing is, if you're getting flanked there, you're actually just fucked. Pretty much completely. There's almost no way for you to win that round unless, you know, you find the perfect timing. But if you just sit there and you're like, oh, well, we can't be in the open from short, well, you're also getting fucked from CT and jungle and connector. Like you're getting pinched from everywhere, right? So sometimes you do, I feel like, kind of have to take a bit of a risk. You know, you don't want to be like, okay, well, if they flank, okay, Donk should be getting that kill. Like, yeah, maybe Donk just had a bit of an off series, but I'm not saying you want to necessarily be like, oh, well, now would be a perfect time for him to flank and we're just not going to be ready for it. But sometimes you just have to be like, you know, a flank is not a likely play here in my mind, you know, or in their mind maybe. And flank's not a likely play, so we're just going to say, I hope they're not flanking. And I think you'll find that in things like 1v1s, in clutch scenarios, pros do that quite a bit, where you just kind of gamble that something's not happening. And that's one important aspect of winning some clutches. Just gamble, because, you know, if you're like in a 1v3, for example, or like a 3v5, like I think they were in when they were on A site, it's like, you know, you're not supposed to win this round. So if someone flanks and it means you lose, that's cool, because you're supposed to lose, right? But if nobody flanks, then you actually have a chance, because you've not wasted your time worrying about something else. Shiro did not die after time there. Okay. I thought they had waited for time, but that was kind of clever of him. I thought he was like 5 seconds on the clock near top con. I'm like, he's fucked. He's dying after time here, 100%. But he actually has the wherewithal. He just jumps away to ramp, and it forces Zhao to peek out. And Zhao peeks out and kills him before time, which is basically what he needs to have happen there. You could even argue that it's more important that he dies because, well, if he bought the op, I didn't look at the money. He might have needed to die to be able to afford that op, right? But Spirit are really looking for B. They really want to... I mean, Mezzy is usually the B player, so it makes sense. Mezzy was having a really... No, wait, Mezzy, was it Flames? I think it's Mezzy, right? And then Flames is the A player, right? Or a connector player. And Mezzy is typically one of the weaker players if you're trying to isolate someone. Although, this is really just something Spirit like to do. And it makes sense, actually, for Spirit to like to do it. Oh, that flash missing is kind of incredible. This does make sense for a team like Spirit to want to do, because you run your like amazing aimers, Shiro, you've got Zontix, and you have Donk. So you've got 3 incredible aimers, and you just walk them into a B player. And if you've ever soloed B on Mirage and you've played like in a rank above your rank, like if you played with level 10s and you're like level 6 and they're like, go B, you get B, and you're like, yeah, I get it, I'm like the lowest level player here, I'll go B. But then sometimes it works, right? And they just go A and you're just like, yeah, I'm hanging out, dog. But then a lot of the time what happens is that they just start hunting you. And B on Mirage, you do kind of have to win some gunfights, you know? Like, once your smoke goes down into the mid-round, you do have to just be able to hold an angle, and they can kind of get cleared out one by one, like, pretty methodically. And so you want to send an opera there sometimes to cover, right? But there's the additional problem that they did send an opera there to cover, and he died. So, yeah. I noticed this from Spirit a lot, though. A lot of games I've watched from them. It's not like I've done like a statistical analysis of this, but a lot of games I've watched from them have, especially against FaZe, this happens a lot. They have Donk just trying, sometimes alone, but usually with like a player or two. And it's because it's like, we're going to lead out with one player, and if he gets the kill, we're going to go. And if he doesn't, it's really easy to pivot off B into like a double underpass, like mid-take, you know? So here, again, Spirit are kind of walking into Vitality's play. Vitality is heavy on A this time. They've got 2 players jungle, 2 players on A site. They're ready for this type of A hit. And Mezzy, he just got spotted by Chopper, didn't he? Yeah, Mezzy, bro, homeboy, what are you doing? You can't be standing there. He gets spotted by Chopper, right? Oh, he doesn't. Wait, does he? Does he spot? Because you can see their head over here, right? Hold on. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure you can see. Maybe it's different in CS2. Did they change it in CS2? I'm pretty sure they can definitely see the head up here. Okay. Now he's standing. Does Chopper ever look? Maybe. It looks like Donk is like, yo, what up? He must have been seen here, I feel like. Because Donk clearly moves back to clear that. Like, Donk just, he spins around, right? He spins around. He was on his screen for like a second, I think. Like, a very short period of time. Yeah, dude, he has to have seen that. even though I can't see how he saw that, but he must have seen that. There's no way. That's just a weird play to make if he didn't see that. But regardless, I mean, that is wild. I mean, you can't stand there, dude. That's like, I feel like, why is he standing? It doesn't even gain you anything, dude. Just fucking crouch. What are you doing? Okay, anyways. That is, Spirit do like to attack B. They do it a lot against Kerrigan. And it makes sense that this series is right after phase 2, but they just like to do it seems like, in quite a few series I've done. And it's just a great play. I think attacking B is like a great pug play too. You just walk B. Usually their worst player plays B. That's like typical. Like you're not going to make any contact almost ever, but your weaker player is there. And then you just, you walk them down, man. On your T side, you can find an aim duel. It's not going to be, you know, maybe 45-55, but that's fine because if it's a bad player. Oh, anyways, more of a standard setup here from Vitality. They are committed to the double up on A. That's a sick nade, by the way. If you haven't seen that before, that nade dumpsters people. Man, Vitality's so heavy on A. It's interesting, though, because Vitality have kind of... They're almost like anti-gambling, because they got destroyed on B, and then they immediately went from getting destroyed on B to, like, going straight back into staying heavy on A. They're like, yeah, fuck you, you destroyed us on B. We're not gonna blink. We're just gonna go right back to what we were doing before. That's crazy. So, Flames close ramp. The timing on this utility set. That nade is huge. Molly lands. I think they flash too, do they? And he just swings out and catches 2 people. They're so fucked by that. Zaiwu, man. That's like 3 kills I've already seen from Zaiwu. Zaiwu is the king of never missing easy shots. And I don't know. He still had great stats this event, but I've seen in my previous review, in the final he missed a lot of shots too. But I mean, he's still doing good in this game. That's the thing. He's like 6-4. It's just like he could be like 10-4 or 10-2. Spinks 1v2. Oh man, he gets that. He gets that 8 out of 10 times. 4 out of 5. He gets that 4 out of 5 times, if not more. Yeah, I mean, Donk is 11-8 right now, so he hasn't exactly been shut down. Although it's a little bit harder to shut someone down directly when you're on CT side because the opposing team controls the pace. The crowd must be loud as fuck. Well, actually no, I take that back. Because even if you hear them coming through underpass, you still maybe want to clear, because one of the things that you may have died to in the past is someone pushing B apps as they're pushing underpass, and you get pinched because you're like, oh shit, they're coming underpass, and then you turn around and then you get die from B apps. So you probably do want to clear that regardless. But it just looked like it was hanging around. Apex, just if he can get some damage, but at this point, I mean, it's so late in the half already, it doesn't really matter. So again, Donk 11-9. He's not exactly been shut down. He does go negative in this game overall. I think he goes like -3 or something, actually. That boost is cool, but the smoke, one of the things about that smoke, I'm not sure if this is exactly what happened this round, but one of the things about that smoke is it does take a couple seconds to actually fully expand to cover that side, I've noticed when I've thrown it. Unless they've like adjusted something about it. But it takes a second to like fully cover the gap on short, and he might have just tried to boost before that whole thing was smoked off. So here, Spirit... Man, okay, so the question is, did Vitality pivot into this, or did they open like this? Okay, I think Vitality's kind of pivoting into this. They've got Flames early on A, toss the Molly. You have to toss that Molly deep now, by the way, because if you toss it like off of here like you used to and it lands here, they can actually jump onto this ledge and kind of peek behind it. So you have to toss it a bit deeper, but anyways. But he quickly pivots back over to mid. It looks like they're ready to react on A and play a retake on A, which is great. It's just they've just been in the perfect situation every single time, pretty much. They've just been like perfectly reading what Spirit is going to go for, which is good. I mean, that's probably pretty prepared. It's interesting though, because I've noticed, I feel like Mirage really is Spirit's, it's not their weakest map, but it is like a gap. You saw FaZe pick it in the major, and they don't seem very strong on Mirage. They generally win, but it's that map that they kind of get taken down on, I think, by teams that they usually would beat. Anyways, 3v2 now. Even though Vitality had like the perfect reads, 3v2, and Donk just peeks out, kills Mezzy, and this round is over. It's over. It's so over. Final round of the half. Still an okay buy from Vitality, not perfect. Mezzy still doing amazing, and Vitality okay. Spirit are probably expecting a worse buy than actually is the case here. Or even with this buy itself, they're expecting, this is a strat, I don't know if this is a strat that's gone out of favor, but this is a strat that's like so trivial if you're ever like pugging, if you ever play with the team and you're like IGLing and you're, you know, it's a team that you don't really know or something, or if you're just in a pug, swinging heavy out mid is like almost never a bad idea. That the nades low, so the nades early stop like the insta push, and part of the problem with the insta mid rush is that with some flashes over from A, that insta mid rush can kind of fuck you up. So they triple nade it, wait a second, then swing out, which I think is a really good variation of the same play. It's just really effective. If you expect your opponents on pistols, or even if you expect them on like FAMASs and shit, if you just have good aim, they're going to be forced into the open, and they're not really going to have the utility that they want. Even if, you know, they have a good buy, or like not a good buy, but like the buy that Vitality had, even if they were expecting that, Vitality is just generally just not going to have the utility required to be able to kind of counter a mid take, like a molly top mid boxes, nades, flashes, like those things. They're going to be light on the utility required to contest a mid take like that. And so you can just get control of mid fairly effectively. And if an opponent is trying to do something clever, like they are, you know, maybe they afforded an op, but like not great weapons around it. Maybe they're going for like a cat jump, but I don't even know if you can go for that anymore. Or, you know, maybe they're doing something cute, we'll say. And you can kind of catch people trying to do stuff like that, or trying to get aggressive in mid. So I do like that play. It didn't turn out for them, though, because Vitality was just full stack mid. Vitality's just constantly in like the perfect spots. So retake on B, 3v4, not exactly the situation you want to be in. I like going all three through one location, because now Donk, okay. So it's like, this is such a small thing. I mean, this is such a small thing. But Donk, you're going to notice he strafes back. He doesn't like, this is something you need to be doing. This is just like a movement mechanic that good players are going to be. He's strafing back. And because they're all three coming through the door, they have two teammates now that can be staring. Their Chopper is fully committed to this idea. So this does rely on, hey, Donk, we know you're going to be able to kill this guy E-Box, right? But even if he can't, the other players they're not waiting for this kill to swing. They're waiting for contact to swing, right? So even if Donk can't get this kill, although if he doesn't get this kill, they're basically losing the round. But even if he can't get that kill, he's still in a good spot where he's being used as bait, but it's intelligent. He's given a good duel, and he's got cover so he doesn't die in the side, and he's got the ability to he's got teammates that are making sure he can trade. Here, I like the play from Donk there. That's actually a really clever play, by the way, but it doesn't work. In that, I think the hope is that the player swings out and can't insta-headshot Chopper. And if Chopper's like diffusing, like turned around, looking down, that's like 3,000 IQ. That's not what he's doing, because I don't even know if that's like, should you do that? I don't know. But that would be like 3,000 IQ, where it's like, Chopper, turn around, look down, and diffuse. And then Donk's like, I'm just going to bait. You're straight up getting baited, motherfucker. Well, because Donk's got 8 health, right? And if Donk dies, the round's over. So his goal has to be, Donk has to kill that guy. That's the only way they win that round. So delaying the peak to try and find the perfect timing is good. And Donk has insane timings. Like, that's what people don't realize about great aimers. It's not just their aim. Like, sometimes I feel like people think that they're thinking about the game like more in depth. Maybe some stars are not. They're playing a lot, I think. Younger players like Donk, I think they're playing a lot by feel, right? They have like a really good feel for the game. And what a good feel for the game means is they have great fucking timings. So they're gonna be able to catch those timings where, like, if you watch enough games, pro games, or if you watch like enough reviews, it's like, what the fuck, dude? He looked away 0.1 second ago and he gets peaked. And it's like, yeah, that's because the guy he's playing against is like, usually it's not unintentional. You know, they're going for these sorts of timings. And you'll notice that like a player like Donk with like smoke spams too, he's going to find those timings. He knows he's just got such a good feel for the timings, you know? I think that smoke is supposed to land not like that. I like to give players the benefit of the doubt, you know? Now, he might be trying to put a gap in that smoke. I've seen smokes like this where there's a gap in them, but that gap seems excessive. To me, that gap seems a bit excessive. In fact, the T's could even peek in front of it. I've seen people have a slight gap in that though, so you can kind of see over like the top edge of the smoke, which can be insanely effective, especially when you're looking underpass. It can be insanely effective to be looking over the top edge of that smoke, but I think that was a little bit more of a gap probably than he wanted. Okay, Mezzy, super clear on Zontix on top, and then you're gonna see Spinks is just gonna go for the lurk out here, isn't he? Is he lurking out here? So again, one of the reasons I started doing these demo reviews is because I think these types of things go a little too unnoticed. These kind of like mid-round pivots, not these stacks like this. I was thinking this was less of a... I was thinking of the pivots that are shown on like Nuke or Inferno, where they pivot heavy B, and then they take some control, and then they rotate back, and they go heavy A, and they take some, like, the activity that teams are going for. I feel like, it's not that the commentators don't notice it, it's just that it gets kind of overshadowed by a lot of the other things going on. But here we've got a stack A, and there's the problem. So the problem with that stack A, the stack A is, oh my god, Shiro. Oh my god, Shiro, why did you jump? Oh, well, okay. Yeah. He was maybe thinking Mezzy was... It was still... I don't know why he jumped, man. If he didn't jump, they were just winning this. And then Mezzy here. Yeah, okay. So the problem with Chopper dying, like, it's not like a mistake, but Chopper gets kind of timing here, and then because he dies instantly, then Shiro has to make contact before, like, too early. And because Shiro has to make contact too early, this turns into a round where Vitality should be winning, but then Shiro just fucking dookies on everyone. But Mezzy here, this is pretty uncomfortable because that's a great peek, by the way. You do that little jump, it's almost impossible to kill you. I think Austin had it in a video, I think I've had it in a video, I think someone else had it in a video too. And you can spot them out, because they already know you're there anyways, right? But now, Mezzy, what do you do here for Mezzy? There's no good option, because Magix could be coming around here. Maybe he should have just gone in this corner and jumped again. Because the problem is Magix could be coming around here and then just jump on the box and kill him. Magix could be going wide around to peek here, where Magix basically has a bit of an advantage, I think. I mean, Magix is left eye peeking, right? But this angle is so much closer than this angle. He has a huge advantage. And Magix could be coming through here, and then he could, like, wide swing close, which is also relatively hard to deal with. There's really no good option here. So you kind of have to do what Mezzy did there, which is peek into him. And Magix just has the right lineup, hits the shot, right? That's just the little delay there. Make him a little uncomfortable. Don't let him feel comfortable on those timings, right? Because Mezzy knew that timing. He waited for a second for that peak, and then he started looking around, right? So Donk still top fragging, still 15 and 13, you know? He's on CT side, which is where you could imagine that they would try and, you know, attack him a little bit, but are you ever trying to attack Donk? You might be trying to look at his tendencies. Maybe you're trying to nade stack him a little bit. Maybe you're trying to catch him in positions where you know he's likely to be, and hit him with flashes, right? If he likes to, you know, play aggressive on anti-ecos. A lot of players like to eco, eco Cobra a little bit, and then you can kind of catch them hunting. Nice little clear from Zywoo. Zontic's not. I'm not loving that. I guess he must just win that like really consistently, because that is such an aggressive play to be going for when you just want to clutch. So you would think that Vitality, given they didn't, Vitality's obviously not on a great buy. That's the main reason I don't like that play in this situation, is because Vitality's obviously not going to be on a great buy. So you kind of just give them a lot of control by going for that peak. But you know, he's a pro player. He knows better. Shiro, right place, right time. It's not a grand final, so he's gonna hit the shot. I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't even mean it like that. Oh no. And then Donk should so I can see why Donk went for this, because if you look at the money, if they save here, their buy in the next round's fucked anyways, right? They're just gonna have 2 M4s, but still a shit buy. And those are the types of rounds where you're more likely to want to go for these types of clutches, because, well, exactly what I said, because your buy in the next round is kind of shit anyways, right? So is the M4 going to make that much of a difference? And if you find the right timing, and he was closer than expected, right? If we look at where he was, I'll fast forward again after. If we look at where he was, he's a bit closer than expected, but he's still not that close. He's still not that close. Maybe Shiro Coldy legged someone, because I think he did leg a third player, in which case that makes a ton of sense to go for it. But that's the type of situation. I don't. That's a Donk feeling it situation. I don't think kids at home don't go for that. However, I can see why someone like Donk might go for that, given the economic situation that we're in. He just jumps into that nade, basically. He tries to jump a while. Okay, the nade is so far away. It's okay. Shiro's fucking on one, son. Jesus. On one enough to kill that guy, though. Apex out of Palace. Okay. All right, this round's basically over. It wasn't really a round to begin with. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. People keep complaining that I'm yapping in these demos. That I'm yapping. So one of the reasons I'm doing these demo reviews is because I'm going to be watching these games anyways, and it's somewhat helpful. Well, not all these games, but the initial couple, I was going to be watching those games anyways, and it was like, if I'm going to be analyzing this, why not talk it through with an audience? But some of the times, man, I'm just talking shit through to myself, and people are like, why are you focused on this round for 5 minutes? It's not that big a deal. And it's like, no, dude, it's like, I'm like trying to figure out how this makes or doesn't make sense to myself. I'm just talking it through. I'm not like trying to tell you a million, well, a lot of the time I am, but I'm not necessarily trying to tell you 5 million things all the time. Sometimes I'm just talking it through, dog. So this is a really weird situation. I'm like, what's going on here? So like an A hit, but then a delayed play at top mid. Donk, I feel like Donk usually one-tab Zywoo there, but it's not a whiff. And then they're just walking out A. So they put the pressure mid. The pressure mid stops the rotate from actually fully supporting Chopper, but Chopper's like waiting for a flash here, right? Like there's supposed to be a flash. Eventually, you're supposed to get a flash here if you're Chopper, right? Like, yo, Shiro, flash. Shiro, I need help. Shiro, I'm gonna die. Shiro, please. Shiro, flash for me, please. And then he's just fucking dead. Maybe the cat player had a flash too. Maybe the cat player is the guy that's like typically flashing for him. But Chopper, I feel like that's a spot where Chopper's just like, good God, please throw me a fucking flash, dog. I need it. I mean, generally, he could also be just waiting for footsteps, because generally you don't throw a utility and then walk all the way up. That is uncommon. That is abnormal, we'll say. However, at some point you do just need a fucking flash to clear things. So it's one of those situations where Zontix really wants to stay quiet because he could be anywhere right now. And now that they started planting, once the bomb's planted, you kind of go back to the same situation you were just in. But you can buy a lot of time just by being quiet and not giving them any clues, because then you could be anywhere. And you could even see, I think they were even checking the flank there, right? All right, so here, Spinks close ramp early, and he hears the double push. Now, if they were silent going back, that would be huge for them, because they could actually catch Spinks really off guard. One of them makes noise, one of them doesn't. There's the second one does. They're in an arena, right? So it's probably hard to tell if both players fell off. So he's probably worried about that. They're probably going to be worried about that the rest of the round, but you can probably tell they, might have fallen off. But yeah, this has got to be a communication situation, right? Yeah, Spinks is smoked off. Spinks probably called that they went Palace, but then they backed up. And Apex is probably thinking that they couldn't really be sandwiched there. Maybe he doesn't even realize that the ramp was smoked off, because this is like a bad buy from Spirit. So he just runs in backwards. And Shiro again, man. Shiro's just fucking people up, dog. Shiro's not supposed to be getting two there. Like, 100%. And Donks just swings in. I want to see this again from Donk's POV. Why does he swing so wide? He's got 50 health. 50 HP. And he just... I guess he doesn't expect that Spinks... Oh my god, I thought Spinks was going to win that. I guess he doesn't expect that Spinks could be that wide, because if he was that wide, he would probably expect his teammates to be shooting at him. But that is one of those Donk things where Donk does have a tendency... His reactions are so fucking fast. And sometimes it does feel like he just swings and he's just like, I'll just counter-strafe and fucking headshot them when I see them. What? Hard clearing? What does that mean? He obviously does fucking hard clear, okay? I'm joking. Those flashes cannot be good. Dude, hold up. Hold up. These flashes land? Where do these flashes land? Fucking time out. Where do these flashes land? Time the fuck out. Where do they land? Yeah, they land here. Okay. Here. Do they blind the people they're supposed to blind? Hold on. Those lines so deep though. Okay, ah. That was that his flash? What? Okay, flames. Flames. Okay. Donk's throwing a flash now. There's the flash. That flash doesn't do fucking anything, dude. Who is that supposed to blind? I guess it blinds people like bottom mid? But it's not even wide. Does it blind Zywoo just clear and connect? That doesn't blind anything! What the fuck is that supposed to blind? It lands here! This literally blinds nothing, dude. What is this flash? Does it blind Zywoo? It must blind Zywoo, right? But he's not looking there. So if you weren't aware, okay, just to be clear, flashes that are too far away do not blind people, right? Like they just don't work. Once they're far enough away, it'll just be like a quick, like, flicker, and then it'll be gone. Which is exactly what you saw when Flames got hit with that flash. That flash was so far away, it was like a light bulb going off. Like, it didn't do shit. It must be for Zywoo's angle, I guess? Or like if they're swinging up Cat, but don't all your other flashes blind? If someone's swinging up Cat, they're not looking this way, right? They're probably looking this way, but maybe they're looking this way, and that flash lands here, so it would blind them. That must be it. That must be it. Because it didn't look like it would blind Zywoo. That looked like it was too far away still. It must be for people running up Cat, because it's gonna catch them out of the edge of the screen. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be another way to do that, but Spirit. You can say whatever you want about Spirit, but they are, I think Chopper does not get nearly enough credit. You know, and CIS teams typically are very well drilled on their utility, I feel like. Usually, like, when they have execs, their execs usually are like, yeah, we brought out pen and paper. We've got 50 notepads of Mirage, and we got this shit down to a science, fam. This flash lands 0.07 milliseconds before the peak comes out. I don't know, that flash is wild. Anyways, Looks like they went for like some sort of double nade on A. Then they're just wrapping all the way back around to B. You got to walk surprisingly early. Actually, well, no, I say that. Now there's like the sound meters, but you got to walk so fucking early not to get heard from this guy in the cat corner. It's wild. When I first saw the sound radius or whatever, I was like, what the fuck? All right, so this is a strat from Vitality. This is a fucking strat. Okay, this is an around. You know, like on Piston, like you're fucking around and you're like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go underpass to top mid, back through T spawn to B. Like that's my strat. Around, we call it the around the world. That's what that was, dude. What the fuck? I don't even know what to say. They like naded it. Did they maybe they boosted the op A to try and catch a pick A. That must be what it was. And then they were like, okay, we'll go back around. That does make sense. I thought they double naded A and then went back around. That's wild if they did that. And what do you double nade A? Like that's the thing. That's why I was confused, man. There is no double nade A. What are you fucking double nading? Okay, so this is the Donk play. This is a spirit play. You have, okay, so I do like, this is what an explode is, by the way, a TNT strat. This is a key aspect of the TNT strat. You've got a guy with a flash. They make contact, bang, boom, bam, out B. You can actually have, by the way, this doesn't work at low levels. Watch what they're doing. Watch what they're doing. Okay, this is very important. I need you guys to realize this. Magix killed Mezzi. Okay? Magix killed Mezzi. Note that. Write that down. Write that down. That's important. Magix killed Mezzi. And you know what? Their team didn't fucking rotate because you can be going for picks with fucking deagles. When you buy deagles, don't rush things with a deagle, by the way. That's what Tech 9s are for. Okay, with deagles, you usually work picks. And so you might have something like one ramp, one palace, top mid, underpass, B-apps. Okay, a deagle getting killed doesn't mean you have to over-rotate. But if you're playing matchmaking, there's a 93% chance if your teammate dies in apartments, their whole team is like, holy fuck, a terrorist has been spotted. We got to make our way over to B. They could all 5 be there. They have to all 5 be there, in fact. We've got a 5-man rotate. And Magix, once his teammates get there, he just needs to stay alive. Not even just for the round win, but just there's no reason to die and lose your gun, right? Gotta maintain as much. This is one of my pet peeves is like pistol rounds. You're gonna see this sometimes, and it does bother me. Okay, I've seen some pistol rounds where it's like 5 versus 1, and you got 2 CTs with 100 armor, and they're close to the T. Like the T, like let's say you got 2 CTs with 100 armor in window, and the final T is top mid, and the CTs with 100 armor, they're like, fuck yeah, we're the guys that are gonna kill this guy. And I'm like, man, you know, I get it, you know, win the round, that's the main thing, you want to win the round, but you got 100 armor, dog. That's $650, son. Fucking, can you try to save it? Maybe like peek with 4 players at once and just, you know, try to hold. But, you know, I guess the situation I just described is actually not necessarily the perfect situation to describe to explain a bad usage of that. But you'll notice this. You'll be like, dog, you could have just saved your 100 armor. Why did you have to take this risk? Like, you could have just... Anyways, setting up B. So this Apex is... This is probably the angle that Donk Flash was meant to blind. There's no top connector. No, there is a top connector smoke. So Apex is taking a pretty big risk here. But he does notice, hey, yo, what up? They're not fighting mid here, which means they're probably playing on B. And so this is a risk, right? There's... One of the things you realize, I think teams realized coming into the later portions of CSGO and into CS2, one of the evolutions after Astralis is that risks exist and you just have to take them sometimes. So like Apex could just die here, but the idea is that he's going to get some information. If he dies, if they're playing heavy mid, bam, hit B quick, and you've got a decent round, potential to win the round. And if they're not, then he's looking to find a timing. And sometimes you have to be willing to take these risks. And this is one of the things that that Kerrigan specifically, Mezzi shooting Apex does not help things. I think you might have Zontix might have even heard the dink from Apex. But one of the things that Kerrigan talked about doing more against Astralis was playing more risky, like more kind of like random. Because if you just played, you know, methodical rounds, Astralis, you were just going to get out Astralis, right? You can't out Astralis. Okay, that's just clean from Zaiwu. What was Shiro looking at, though? Shiro didn't even shoot. Was he, like, staring at the vent? Oh, Mezzi jiggles. Oh, okay. It looked... that looked like, on Zaiwu's screen, that looked like he waited forever, right? It's crazy, actually, because that round really is the difference. Like, if Spirit win this round, then they probably win the game. Because even after the round win, Vitality don't have a lot of money. That round really was just the game. And off of that, for the game, Apex is like, smoke mid, smoke top con. I'm going to fucking dry walk out mid, and you guys are going to hit B. And then I'm gonna lurk up cat. Didn't even get a kill. I think Mezzi dinking Apex is probably a big reason why Apex didn't get a kill there. If Apex doesn't get dinked by Mezzi, he probably does. Because I'm thinking what happens is he gets dinked, and then Zontix is like, hold the fuck up. hold the fuck up. There's only one person home right now. Why am I hearing someone else? Okay. So Spinks gets his boosted up. This is a really heavy, like, mid-response contest. Like, as contact gets made, they're all looking for the timing to push through at the same time. And this requires a fuck ton of coordination to deal with teams that do this. Like, it's actually, I feel like one of the hardest things in CS to do is be on a team, and it's like everyone just starts getting fucking fighting from every angle at the same time, and you don't get caught off guard because you're like, you actually realize exactly where they could be beating you from, exactly where your teammates are looking, so that you know where you have to look if someone dies, right? That requires a lot of coordination. It's a really interesting round from Spirit. I'm trying to think of what situations is really good. It's just a cool. That's a really interesting game from Vitality. I think most interesting is just how they felt like they were reading Spirit like a fucking book, dude. Every time Spirit went mid, they were heavy mid. Every time Spirit went A, they were heavy A. Every time Spirit went B, Zaiwu died with an op and missed an easy shot and lost them the round. You know? Just like a fucking textbook, dog. That was great. I mean, Donk missed a few kills he usually gets. But didn't really feel like they were targeting him necessarily. But at the same time, it's fucking, how do you target a connector player that effectively? On their T side, they were somewhat avoiding him. But yeah, I mean, it was generally, he didn't have a terrible game. It was just negative, right? Anyways, if you enjoyed this content, go sub to the Patreon. Patreon.com/VooCSGO.